লাইভ স্ট্রিমিং এবার শুরু হবে, ঠিক আছে? আমি দেখতে থাকবো ইউটিউবে কোয়েশ্চেন গুলো আসছে, কিরকম কি কোয়েশ্চেন আসছে, এবং সে মাঝখানে মাঝখানে নেব কোয়েশ্চেন গুলো। দেখা যাক কজন এলো, চেক না এলো। Say hello everyone. দেখি লোকজন একটু আসো। ওখানে তোকে দেখা যাচ্ছে না, কি একটা যেন করেছিল না, তোকে দেখানোর জন্য কি একটা বেশ করেছিল লাস্ট টাইম, যাতে তোকে দেখা যায়, মনে আছে তো?
Gallery view.
Mm-hmm.
Gallery view.
Gallery view. এবার দেখো ইউটিউবে দেখা যাচ্ছে কিনা।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে।
ইউটিউবে দেখা যাচ্ছে দুজনকেই। ওকে।
Yeah, okay. Okay, so what's the time now? So we have 2 minutes to start.
I think the screen, as well as two of us, can we do that? Or no, I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do both the screen and the...
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
So the slides won't be visible, or
no? I think I don't know how to do it. Okay. That the slides are there, and at the same time, both of us are visible. Let me see if somebody in our audience knows about it. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to yet another Saturday with Sourish. So today we have a very special friend. Hello Sajal, yeah, good evening. Hi Vidyasagar, yeah, great to see you back. So today we have gotten a very special friend. His name is Tirathankar, and he is just about to wrap up his PhD from IIT Patna. and he works in the specifically in the field of natural language processing. And after wrapping up his PhD, he is about to move on to a postdoc position uh, in one of the prestigious labs, NOP labs. That's Oak Ridge National Lab. That's in the United States. And hello, Mohammed from Palestine. Hi. So Mohammed is also a regular friend. So welcome, Mohammed. So hi, Mohammed. Hi, Mohammed Usman. Yeah. So yeah. So Tirathankar is we got Tirathankar, and Tirathankar has promised that he will give some cameo appearances from time to time. So Tirathankar, say hi to our friends over here who are pouring in from all across the world. And I hope there will be more people in, and maybe in another 3-4 minutes, 3 minutes, we'll start the discussion.
Hi everyone, this is Tirathankar. I am as Shorizda mentioned, I am about to graduate from IIT Patna, and thanks to you, Shorizda, for inviting me in this session. And since it's about it's a candid session about our PhD, how we do it, not a seminar kind of thing. I'm really going to enjoy this.
Hi, Abdus. So just let us know if people are from where you are, and just put it on the chat from where you are and what is your research area, so that we get to know you more.
So we are about to begin, or
yeah,
maybe
we are just waiting maybe
minutes.
for another 1 minute, and then we will start.
Wonderful.
So, by the way, I mean, sorry guys, we are trying. I was trying to. I'm not good at Zoom. I was trying to figure out how I can show you the slide, and at the same time, both of us, you can see both of us, but that's not really happening. So today's session, today's evening, let's just survive without the presentation, right? Great, Kazi, you're from India. Oh, you're from NLP background. Great. Okay, Vidya, we know you. We know you're from Pimpri and you're from educational technology. We are getting to know some people. We are getting to become friends, sort of. Some of us, we are seeing them coming back, which is really cool. I think we can start now. Yeah.
I was actually there in your last session, so I think it's also like me coming back again.
Yeah, right. Tirathankar was there in our last session. So, hi, Pranusha. Hi, great to see you. Public policy, great, amazing. Okay, so let's start. Just hold on for a second. I think Kate who has something to tell me. Hello. 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 All right. So we begin. So today's discussion is essentially what not to do with the early days of PhD. And okay, Ketul is trying to tell me how to also show the and I really don't know how to do that, but Ketul is trying to teach me how to show the presentation. But anyway, I think we are getting late. So what not to do in the early days of PhD, right? So what we are going to do is kind of like a fireside discussion. So I'm going to share my own experiences, specifically what are the things that I did as a mistake, and I now want to share those mistakes, going down back into the memory lane. And I would want you to share your opinion also, all of you, on the chat, so that we can take more and more opinions today. So today is more about sharing experiences, sharing opinion, and that's why I brought Tirthankar to do the same. And maybe the first question that we can talk about is basically the first 3 months. So you start your PhD program, the orientation is done, and then you are in the first 3 months. So Tirthankar, can you share your experience, just your experience? What was it like at IIT Patna, the first 3 months after the orientation was done, and how things were?
Okay, so yeah, I could say the initial months were the best months, I must say, because yeah, so the initial months, it usually starts with coursework, and you are like, you don't know what you need to do, but you actually see that the senior PhD scholars are like uh, giving presentations and publishing papers. Some of them are going abroad, so it really feels like okay, so you are you are about to do something, but you have no idea what to do. So better you concentrate on your coursework. So for me also, this is how I started mostly. And the about my initial months, I can say that it was very easy, because the initial few months we were just doing some introduction, some PPTs, some presentations, and not much into literature. And we used to play a lot. So ac- actually, at some point of time, I thought, okay, is it this gonna be so easy that we are playing cricket, we are doing badminton? So I thought, wow, I heard so many scary stories about PhD, but this is not like that. This is not like that. So I would say initial months were really the best, but uh, things got a bit tricky after the 6 months, or maybe close to 1 year. Yeah.
I wanted to very quickly talk a little bit about my own experience. Like when
Yeah, yeah, right.
I did it from US, Tirthankar. So it was a whole new culture shock for us. Going, and I was never abroad. Forget about abroad. I was never out of Calcutta. So now straight away flying over to Kansas City, and it was a whole new country, culture, all sorts of things. My first 3 months just flew by, and I couldn't even realize what was going on around me. So I was more or less like in a whirlwind, and I had no clue what research was. At least for the first one semester, the first semester, I had zero clue what research was. I was just trying to figure out how to be okay in my coursework. And that's it. I was not even thinking much about research. I hardly remember how many papers did I even read. And I'm not telling all of you guys to do that, because that's one of the mistakes, and we will be discussing that, me and Tirthankar. That was part of the mistake that we are going to tell you, like things that we could have done better. And I would highly encourage you, or rather, make you aware of the fact that, the first 6 months, at least the first 5 to 6 months, are very, very crucial. And to settle in, how to settle in is going to be very important. So uh, of course, you have to be acclimatizing yourself in terms of the hostel environment, and if you are going abroad, so the other cultural aspects. But at the same time, stay very well connected with your would-be supervisor or supervisor, whatever is a norm. And ask them if they are not giving you papers to read, ask them for papers. And a very good thing to do is to just figure out what can be your research interest at a broader level, just at a very, very broader level. What are the kind of stuffs that you would like to read about? And then start reading survey papers, which are easier to understand and which gives you a broader view of the landscape as a whole, right? So that is the sort of like the first 3 months, which is settling in, very important. Start reading one or two, a couple of survey papers on whatever topic. Doesn't matter whether your research problem has been decided or not, doesn't matter, because the perspective of the research, the broader research area as a whole. And it tells you what are all the interesting research problems that people are working on. At least you get a hang of it. And survey papers are also good because it's not very well detailed. So it gives you kind of like a platter, like a mixed platter of everything, sort of. So that helps you to get started out very quickly. By the way, keep asking questions in between. If you have questions, then yeah, we will share the PPT. Don't worry. I mean, there's nothing much in the PPT as such. So, hello, Pulak Chandra Sarkar from Jalpaiguri. Wow, good, great. Uh, thank you. So,
So one thing,
yeah.
one thing showed is that I just want to add, like, it's like you talked about mistakes, so I should say that go slow. So we are like PhD, we are not in a hurry. So I did that because um, initially when I started with a project, and we had some deadlines to meet. So uh, okay, so but I had like that full freedom to read literature, but I skipped doing that and mostly was focused on delivering the presentations and delivering something. So, but uh, but while doing so for a year, I really skipped doing meaningful literature survey, and that really costed me in the latter part when uh, when I just many a times it happened that I came up with an idea, and then I thought maybe I should explore that. And when I really like after a few days with already I progressed with the experimentation, and I thought, okay, there is already a better idea available, so it doesn't make sense to do that. So doing that literature, a very robust literature survey, from identifying the good venues of your domain of research. Like, no need to read all. Maybe just as you say that one research paper is like one idea, one new door to something. So I really think like identifying the good research papers, the as well as identifying the good venues where like people publish, or at the same time I would say that identifying the researchers who are well established and doing good research is very important during the initial days. Otherwise, what happens is that a bulk amount of time goes in that direction, and after some time we feel, okay, I have read so much of crap that doesn't make sense. So it's very important. I
Right.
felt so. I made that mistake. Yeah.
Right. And it comes to this interesting question, that uh, the initial problem is not to have a problem. I call it, the problem of not having a problem.
Right.
And one good thing is, and how to solve this issue is, as Titankar rightly pointed out, that you just pick up, ask your advisor or the seniors in your lab, what are the really good venues, or what are the really good journals or conference proceedings, whichever applies in your discipline, uh, which are the best ones. And then what you can do is you can pick up one way to do it is you look into the papers that have been published in the last year and the last to last year and maybe last year, which means the last 3 years. And then you jot down all the problems the unique problems that people are working on. And that can be a good collection for you to begin with. And then the way to explore can be that you pick up some survey papers and on those specific problems, research problems, and then read the survey papers. Pick up some recent survey, but survey papers have to be recent. So pick up some recent survey papers. Or if you are into biomedical sciences or biosciences or certain kind of humanities and social sciences domain, then you can also pick up review papers, which means those papers which critically examine a very good paper and do a critical analysis of a very good paper. So you can actually pick up review papers on those specific. So step one is actually to list down all those problems by going back to those last 3 years, what has been done in what all have been done in all the top journals, and then narrowing down and to specific survey papers and review papers. So that's a good way to begin and a good way to minimize the time, because you know what, let me be very honest with you. I have seen people who take years and years to come to a particular research problem. I've seen people who have taken 3 years to come to a research problem. Right. So that's something that's very alarming, I would say. And if you're taking 3 years to come to a research problem, you know, it becomes extremely frustrating mentally, emotionally. I can guarantee you that it would become very, very frustrating. You know,
So
yeah.
Shoris, did you feel the same kind of problem in the US? Because I had this notion that usually they work on some defined problems. I don't know, uh, but I'm not sure. If you're what was your experience in the US while you
Right,
started?
right. So what happens is that there are multiple different types of labs and multiple different types of supervisors. Okay, so I categorize supervisors in six categories. Okay, so the first category is that where they have a funded project and there is always a project. So the project is already defined, and what happens is that the professor is going to give that project to a bunch of people, and you will be working on specific aspects of that particular project, and that would become your research. So then there's the second category. The second category of professors are where they would not like go outside their domain of expertise, but they would allow you to choose any problem within that within that perimeter, within that circle. So which means that they would not restrict you to work specifically on a particular funded project or something like that, but at the same time they will allow you certain freedom, but within the territory of their own expertise. So that's the second category of professors, the supervisors. The third category of supervisor is where the supervisor is willing to co-learn with you. So it's the kind of the adventurous supervisor, so to say. So he is very willing to go to walk into new territories, unknown territories together with you and work together with you almost like a colleague, so to say. So that's the third category, you know. The fourth category of supervisor is like the sounding board. Okay, which is that you come up with, you know, he won't tell you anything, but you come up with interesting ideas, interesting proposals, interesting techniques or solutions or algorithms or whatever that is, and he will just give you some good comments about it, right? And the fifth category is, don't get me wrong, if you're, you know, if your piece, you know, and the supervisor is like that, you know, people who are in the audience, uh, who just signs the paper. Okay, so who's there only for the managerial signatures, you know, and so on and so forth. So now, depending upon what kind of supervisor you have to shape your game accordingly. So as a PhD student, you have to like first figure out what kind of a supervisor is my supervisor. And then based on that, you have to shape your game. So in that way, my own supervisor was somebody who would be the second category, like who would not want to venture outside the particular territory, but who would still want to give me that freedom of choosing a particular problem within that territory, right? So, I know, but for a lot of bio labs and biomedical labs and pharma labs, the project is so fixed, and it's just that project because it's highly funded projects, and it's just that project that you have to work on. So it's predetermined, so to say. But in that case, the problem of not having a problem is not there as of that much, right? That's also true. So, so coming on to the next topic, but by the way, maybe I can take a little bit of question. Let me see if I have some questions. Uh,
So I may just
okay,
add,
sure,
I'll just add
Tirthankar,
to
yeah.
this, like whenever the only solution that the cliche solution is, whenever you don't have a problem, you have to read and read more. And along with papers, Shorish, I will say that during the last years, maybe from the third year onwards, I
Mm-hmm.
really started to look onto the videos of some important conferences, like people presenting their work, and also
Right,
reading the blogs, and those were really very helpful because they explain things like, if we go again into the rhetorical structure of research paper, so
right.
we write in such a way that we appear smart to our reviewers, right? So, but in blogs and in videos, we go uninhibited, and those really help me. So I think, especially in AI research, I think like people are really serious about doing blogs, uploading their videos of their talks. So that could be one helpful addition
No,
to the literature.
yeah.
And
So I'll tell you
and
what. Yeah,
yeah, please go
continue.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So finding problems would really come up if we can figure out uh, which researchers we are going to follow, and the kind of papers or the kind of venues, like restricting ourselves to a uh, very elite set of conferences or journals, and a majority of the times they leave some open problems to choose. So I think that could be one possible way to uh, find out problems of interest in the same domain in which your supervisor is working, or maybe you want to work. So that could be one way, but there could be many others. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reason I completely agree with you, Tirthankar, because if you look at racks and if you look at what happens in racks when you're reading a paper, you'll see that while you're reading a paper, if you're not able to understand a particular concept, or if you want to explore a particular concept more, there are blogs and there are video lectures of tier one conferences and workshops, right? So that's
Yeah.
exactly the reason why those things are there inside racks,
Mhm.
so that you can quickly refer to them while you are reading a particular paper and quickly understand the paper, and then come back and continue with that particular paper and
Yes.
organize all of these other kind of the complementary resources, so to say, in a very nice manner. And that's one of the beauties, I would say, of racks, you know. So, let me take some questions now. So,
Okay.
Kamalakannan, I'll just call you Kamal. It's a little long name. What is research gaps? So, Tirthankar, would you want to explore that, take that question, or what is
Yeah.
research gap? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, like if I can make this clear. So I will just say my perspective. So if you're talking about gaps, so this usually comes in the initial days while we do literature. And research gaps is something like when we deeply read about a topic and we feel that something there is not addressed, or there is an open problem, or maybe I could have done this differently. When I think of the problem, irrespective of what the authors have specified in the paper, so I can have a different take. Suppose if I'm working on uh, suppose words and disambiguation. So there are hundreds of papers on that. But if I think of the problem from a very naive point of view, and if I don't see that my point of view is addressed in any of the papers, so I think that could be one possible way to explore, or that could be one gap that has not been explored in literature. At the same time, uh, while we do many literature, it usually occurs to many of us that uh, should not it have been done this way, or I don't know why the authors have done this way. Maybe I could have done it in a different way. So I also think those as gaps, or rather say I would say opportunities rather than gaps.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I mean, gaps are opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So what, Kamal? Just to add on to that, in the previous video, the previous Saturday with Sourish that we had, Tirathankar was there, and I was specifically mentioning how to identify the gaps while only going through the research problem while you're reading paper. There will be a continuation of that where I will be next Saturday. I will be talking about how to identify research gaps while you are reading the approach or the methodology of the papers that you're reading, and how to compile them nicely. So I've given you the link to the previous one. You can later on watch it and in more details, like what are all the different aspects of a research problem that can help you to figure out what can be really, really good research opportunity for you, right? Okay. So yeah, the next question, maybe one more question, and then we can continue with our chit chat. Okay. Okay, publishing in Kabi. This is a question from Kabi. Publishing in Scopus has become too tricky. Please throw light on it. I mean, first of all, I couldn't understand this question a little bit. Like, what do you mean by tricky? If Kabi, you can explain that a little bit. But Tirathankar, did you get the question?
So maybe I would generalize it a bit. So like publishing in very high quality venues nowadays is tough. The reason being, according to me, that research is becoming more and more accessible, and many people are coming. So it's a very highly competitive scenario. If I just talk about AI, NLP, and machine learning, my domain of research. So yeah, I agree. Like publishing in the topmost venues is very tough, not that easy. But the thing is, it also depends on how you write the paper. So that is an art that uh, don't comes very quickly. That takes time to develop. That the kind of papers that the community is expecting from the researcher. So you might have a very wonderful idea, and you are very confident about that idea, but then there is a specific form or pro forma of to which you have to like build your writing skill and adapt to that. So I think like publishing in big venues, along with a very good research problem, you need to have to write very well and write according to what the community is expecting. So if you
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so that's it. So like many problems are very interdisciplinary. Suppose we work on meta science, right? So the way meta science people approach a problem, maybe the similar problem, if I write in the same way and submit to an NLP high quality venue, uh, they won't understand. They won't accept. Okay, so they will say, okay, so this is not what NLP does. And again, if I write a paper from NLP perspective and submit to a meta science venue, they won't be interested. So it takes time to get that essence.
Right. And Tirthankar, what we can do is that maybe some another time we can actually particularly focus on writing and
Yeah.
have a discussion on that. Right. That would be nice because it's a topic that should be discussed on on its own right.
Adding to that, uh, I just may add. So there are some like people mostly in NLP and machine learning. So there are some writing initiatives that are going to take place in the coming year from the widening NLP initiative, which
Okay.
I'm chairing. So
Yeah.
it will
Just
be,
share. Yeah. Just share
yeah,
it.
I will share that. Yeah, so it will be mostly for underrepresented groups and researchers, like people from countries who have not very good access to um, research materials, or maybe the the, the writing scheme. So those workshops will be very helpful. So I would definitely share this, and maybe you can also share to your audience.
Right. Great. Great. Thank you. So, so now coming to a little bit of fun part, and then we can again go back to the questions. Um, Common distractions while you are working, while you are doing literature survey, or in the initial early days. The common distractions. Tirthankar, you share your experience, and then I'll share my experience.
Uh, Distractions is like there are so many. I, I don't know. I can list all of them. So the very first distraction is uh, hold on your enthusiasm. I think like we are not here to read the entire literature, which is not possible. So like grabbing up anything and like becoming too much excited on that is one distraction I felt, because I did that and I
So,
kind
is
of
it
wasted a
like a
lot of.
rabbit hole? Is it like getting inside a rabbit hole, sort of?
Yeah, and I won't say it whole, but just like not too much expanding your breadth, because whatever you get, you just read it, and like people always suggest that you read and read more papers. But the thing is, uh, read more and more papers, but that should be in line with what we are trying to investigate, and at the same time it should be from very high quality venues. Otherwise
Right.
like there are so many out there, and it's
Right.
it we can't read everything. So this is one distraction. We don't need to read everything. We need to read some and then develop our own.
Right. Right. Uh, any okay,
and
so
and and the second distraction is, I must say, your friend who is highly prolific and he has started publishing from day one. So stay away from that friend, or maybe don't pay heed to that.
yeah, I mean, touching we will be touching upon this thing, especially the imposter syndrome, sort of, and we are going to I'm going to come back to that, Tirthankar, in a while. But just to quickly add on to my own experience, my own
Yeah.
distractions when I used to read papers. Sometimes I used to get into a rabbit hole, like while I would be reading paper, and then while reading the paper, I would not understand a lot of things initially because they were so new to me. And then I will again read another paper, and then again over there I will not understand a lot of things. So again read another paper. And what was going on was that I was getting myself into a rabbit hole. The other problem that was happening, because uh, we are into mathematical science, computer science is essentially into mathematical science, is that there are a lot of mathematics involved while you are reading research papers in our discipline. So what used to happen is that I used to feel that, hey, I don't know a lot of this math. I have never seen this math before. And then what happened was I started figuring out that, hey, let me just stop computer science and enroll myself into the math department and learn the math and the statistics completely. And then I will come back into the computer science department, and then I will start resume with my. It was a horrible idea, and believe it, that's not how you work. it can never happen that you actually learn the entire mathematics out there and the entire statistics out there, and then you start pick up your research problem, and then you start working. So that it doesn't happen. It is not a bottom-up approach. It's not a bottom-up approach. It's actually a top-down approach, in the sense that you pick up a research problem, as you break it down into sub-problems, and then suddenly you come across a particular kind of mathematics, and then you learn that and come back and again try to think hard and read further and think harder and discuss harder, right? And a lot of things, what I coming back to what Titankar mentioned before, that much of this understanding part should be done by taking a short, like an online course on Coursera or Udacity or Udemy, or a video lecture of a tier 1 conference or workshop, a seminar, or a very nicely written blog. And that blog can be a medium blog to a nicely written blog by a R&D lab, or a white paper that has been very easily written and nicely written, or it can be a magazine article like Nature, Scientific American, Science, and so on. It can actually be very nicely written in some magazine, top-notch magazine articles. And that's one of the reasons why Rax makes a lot of sense in the early days as well, where you have to do a lot of comprehension, you have to do a lot of understanding, and you have to do it quickly. So now coming back to this imposter problem, Tirthankar, I'll want you to double click on that a little bit more because I'm pretty sure a lot of us actually suffer from that issue, the imposter issue. Yeah.
So that syndrome is still with me because in all of the I find I'm talking about my lab. I find all of my lab mates when we do research meetings are they're so smarter than me, and I'm I'm just sitting there as a dumb person, and I don't have I really think that there are so many ideas to explore, and um, uh, and people come up with so different kinds and radical ideas. But the thing is that to cope up with that problem, practically speaking, short is the it is bound to happen. So you can't escape unless you are that quote unquote very highly prolific researcher who starts publishing from day one. So you won't at that point of time you won't have that. But again, you would have that when you are in a different setting. So I had that uh, during my initial days. I had that when I went to the US for my internship at the Oak Ridge National Lab. Then I saw people very senior people who are so much expert in coding, and also people from other disciplines like physics and chemistry. And to them, the level of knowledge of deep learning or things that I have, I found that they know much more than me in deep learning, but still they are researching on physics. So I thought, okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. So that I had, and again when coming back here, I feel like uh, in our lab there are so many junior researchers, but they are doing so well in their initial days, and they have so lots of great ideas. So that is bound to stay. So I don't know any easy way or escape from that, but you have to cope up with it.
Okay, so the way I tackle this problem is kind of like it's a mental game, so to say. Is this way that you know the thing is that very few people are actually geniuses. Geniuses are the outliers of Mother Nature, right? So most people who do really great research are not geniuses. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. Even most Nobel laureates are not geniuses in that sense, in the sense of genius. Uh, they are extremely smart people. They are extremely hardworking, and they have a method. So what makes them really great and really phenomenal is the method. is the systematic approach of doing research. And I'll tell you, if you follow the methods, and that's why I would urge a lot to look into various different styles of research methodology and pick one particular style. And that's why I recommend all of you to come over to the Saturdays with Sourish so that actually I can show you my style. What happens is that your speed of research can increase and your effectiveness can increase a lot more. That's number one. Number two is everybody goes through the imposters issue, including your supervisor. 9 out of 10 times is that's reality. So the person whom you are thinking are great is great. He has also gone through this imposter syndrome himself or herself. So that's another thing that we need to understand. So that's reality. And the third thing is that is human being. Most of the human being who have achieved, who have changed the world, right? They were not geniuses, as I said. So if people who are not geniuses, but who are really smart and hardworking people, if they could change the world, that's what should inspire you. So it's okay to not understand something, but once you understand, you understand. So it's always like that. Nobody understands something right from the beginning. They learn something, they assimilate it, they process it, and then they understand it, and then they apply it. And then new ideas come on, right? So they learn the art of finding research gap, research opportunities, and then what happens is that they are very quick in doing that, and then they're very quick in connecting the dots. And that happens through methodical practice. It's just like net practice, how methodically you are doing that net practice. And it automatically comes to you one fine morning. So that's how it is. Okay, so now maybe I can take 2-3 more questions. I don't know, Kamal, what exactly you mean when you say, please suggest me any free UGC Care or Scopus publications, because when you say free, there are a lot of open access journals, and I cannot suggest you anything because I don't know your discipline. So that's one thing that we need to know. But I will show you, I will give you a link where I have discussed this thing about how to figure out what are the best journals or what are the best conference proceedings, and how to narrow down that list to figure out which should be the journals or the conference proceedings from where you should be actually targeting. Not just targeting, but also in terms of submission, but also the papers that you would be reading from, right? So I'm going to give you the link. Okay, I'm going to take some other question and then maybe come back to Kamal's questions. Kazi says, I wrote a IEEE paper first time and received it. Yeah, so it's all about writing. So we will have a separate session on writing, and I will be telling, not one session, we will have multiple sessions on writing. So it's coming up. That would be, so then we have Abdus Mondal. Hi, Abdus. So the question that Abdus has is, after joining your PhD, how long did you take to publish your first paper? So first of all, never ask this question to anyone. You just focus on what you are doing, okay? Don't ask this question. It's irrelevant, because I'll tell you something. Maybe my research topic is such that it's easier for me to publish the first paper. Maybe your research topic is such that it's difficult. It takes time. There are people who are working in pure mathematics who would just publish one paper in their entire PhD and get a PhD done, and that too from top class universities, because they are working in such a difficult problem, right? So don't, first of all, that's one question that you should avoid asking people. I know it's tempting, but don't ask that. The second thing I would say is that I got it by the end of my first year. But I think I was lucky. because my first attempt and I did not get a rejection but an accept. Very few, it happened. And it doesn't mean that I knew the art of writing a paper. I think I was lucky, and I got my first paper. I wrote it. It got accepted. It was in a workshop in WWW World Wide Web. That's considered one of the top conferences in our field. But yeah, that was a long time back. And then I got a lot of rejections too. When I thought that I knew how to write papers. so, uh, it totally depends. So don't. This is a question that you should not ask people. Okay, so just focus on your work. Uh, Coming to some other question. Any other question from other people? Let me then go back to some other question. Let's say, let me see what other questions do we have here. Okay, let me go back to Kamal has a lot of questions. So let me go back to Kamal's question. What is a funding project? What is a funded project? Tirthankar, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. So there could be like in India, uh, you know, like there are many government-sponsored PhD schemes and many in-house PhD schemes of different universities. By funded, you can mean that whether it is funded by the government or maybe by your university funding. But I know what you are asking. So by funded is like suppose your supervisor has a has written a project. Maybe it could be to a government, or maybe it could be from some private companies, or if some industries has approached your university or your supervisor for solving a project, for doing a work. So they hire PhDs, they hire project linked personnel. So by funded project, we mean that it is funded by some external agency, and they usually have some deadlines to deliver that project. So that's what, like, you are in a project based PhD and your problem is defined, and your funding comes from that agency. You are not funded from the in-house uh, university or your government funding. So yeah.
So yes, if your supervisor is writing grant proposals, and then you better help him or her so that the grant proposal goes through and you get the funding. If your supervisor is not interested in writing grant proposal, then what you can do is you can figure out what are all the different types of for funding yourself. If funding is an issue, you can figure out what are all the different types of PhD scholarships that are given by a lot of corporate bodies also,
Yes.
not just government bodies. Like there's TCS, and I guess Infosys also, and Microsoft and Google.
Google,
So
Facebook.
yeah,
Yeah.
so and Facebook. So you can apply for those things, and but you better make sure that you at least have one good research publication. So focus. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to a good research publication. So which boils down to very good literature survey, which means if you are not doing very strong and very good literature survey and not able to quickly figure out a really good research opportunity, you won't be able to do great research work, right? So that's
And those are highly competitive, I must say. Like the ones that you mentioned, Shoris, those are highly
right.
competitive. I had applied 3 times, but I got rejected every time. So yeah,
Right.
it's
I know, and that's why you need to stand out. So, but
right.
then there are many other places also. So I just named a few, whichever came in my mind. But there are
Yeah.
many other corporate grants, uh, which are coming from other kind of companies, uh, and like bio companies or pharma companies or electronic companies and so on and so forth. So you can apply over there as well. So that's another opportunity if your supervisor is not that much interested in writing grants, right? Uh, yeah, how can we identify quality of journals? I give you one link. This is a very good link. Schemago. It's called Schemago. You can let me just give you the link here. So identifying good journals and proceedings, conference proceedings. So this is a good place.
But I think
So
that also depends. Like I would also suggest to consult with the supervisor because I can tell you one of
absolutely, absolutely,
yeah
because in my, I think we actually did a, uh, yeah. So maybe this is one link which I am going to share with you. Uh, yeah. So this is another YouTube session that we had, and you can actually look into it. And over there, I told you specifically what are the different ways in which, or what are the different places. Like for computer, if you're in computer science, then conference proceedings are a lot are very important, if not more important than journals. And then there is something called core over there,
yeah
core ranking.
core ranking.
Uh, so and then if you are from other kind of places, so there are multiple different ranking. Impact factor is one very common thing, H index, and there are multiple different ranking factors. Scopus recently has come up with their own ranking factor, site index and all those sort of things. So there are multiple different alt metrics, we call them, which can help you. But what I figured out is the good ones, they are always on the top ranks, no matter which index you follow or which
But
metrics you
yeah,
follow.
so I would mention over here of some exceptions. Like in our domain for NLP, there are certain journals like which don't have so-called very high impact factors. Even one of the journal which is the most highly regarded called Transaction of ACL, it doesn't have any impact factor because they didn't apply for that. But publishing in TACL and there is another journal called CL, which whose impact factor is very less. It's about 2. But the people who in NLP they knows that how prestigious it is to get a TACL or a CL paper. So it
Right.
always doesn't depends on impact factor.
I would
So
I would rather, and that's why I did not give you that link for
yeah,
impact factor. I would rather want to go with the Schemago. I like the Schemago ranking because it's based on the Google page ranking kind of algorithm. So that actually would solve the problem that Tirathankar just mentioned,
yeah.
because
And
it
the
depends
best way,
upon, yeah,
yeah, and the best way go ask your supervisor
yeah,
because he's the expert.
right. Impact factor is, see, it's pretty simple. How many number of citations a particular journal is getting, uh,
And it is
and
pretty
it's
much gameable, right?
and it's pretty
So
naive, because what happens is that the rich gets richer, which means
yeah,
the older journals will have very higher impact factor, although they may not be that important over the last 3 years. So it doesn't tell you much. So impact factor, and that's why the problem happens. Like a journal like CL or computational linguistics. So that has a lower impact factor because when it is normalized against very old journals in biology or something, it will actually drop down. The score is going to drop down, right? So
yeah.
so yeah, so 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 there are multiple ways in which you can look at it. But and that's why I gave you the Schemago link, because over there you can actually choose the sub area, like let's say natural language processing or AI or machine learning, and then you can see which are the top ones.
Right.
So let me see if we can find any other question.
Actually, so there is a whole body of research called scientometrics, who like the people in scientometrics they devote their entire research to find
Right,
what
right.
what should be the good way to measure research.
Right. There's a whole body of research going on that part only. Like what should be a good way of actually figuring out what's a good journal, let's say.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Kazi has another question, and the question is, please give on PhD proposal. I think that's what it meant. Which points must be mentioned? I mean, by PhD proposal, what exactly do you mean? Like which kind of proposal are you? You know, like you are about to get admission. During an admission, you're trying to write a proposal for that, or you want to get into a candidature stage and you want to write a proposal for that. So if you can just put it on the chat, Kazi, like what is the purpose of that proposal, then maybe we can shed some light.
Maybe he might be asking about statement of purpose, or is that maybe like
Yeah,
when you're
that's where I'm getting a little bit confused, because
okay.
one proposal is, before you even go for a comprehensive exam, we had to give a research proposal, like what is the research, or what is the research problem on which we are going to work on, just for admission. Yeah. So Tirthankar, I guess you were right. So Tirthankar, if you can just maybe you can take this question.
Yeah, for admission, we usually call it as a statement of purpose, like what we want to do. So it need not to be very structured, according to me, because the professor would know that you are about to begin your graduate life. So it need not to be very structured, but for statement of purpose, it would be better if we could align that according to our interest, as well as the work that your potential supervisor is currently doing. So suppose you want to get into this grad school and you have figured out, okay, this lab is doing some great work and I want to get associated with them. So the point would be to uh, look at their recent projects, look at their recent papers, and then try to find, if possible, if you are familiar with reading papers, you try to find a problem that is aligned to them, as well as obviously should be of your interest. So I don't feel SOP for a grad admission should be very much structured. It could be unstructured, but uh, it should reflect your aim, that what you want to do. It should have a brief introduction about the problem, and it should also reflect that you have well studied the projects or the works that particular lab has done. So specifically for graduate admissions, this SOP should not be same. Like if you are applying to 10 different universities, it should not
Right.
be the same. It
Right.
should be curated accordingly in which lab you are going to apply. So as to maximize your chance of getting noticed even. So yeah.
Right. So essentially, the eyebrows should raise up, like, wow, let me read it further.
Yeah.
So that should happen. Okay, now coming to the final, quickly, if we can wrap up with this final topic, coursework. Everybody might be thinking, we have so many coursework to begin with. Where is the time to actually do literature survey, right, or literature review or paper reading? So, Tirthankar, what is your take? I mean, uh, how
Yeah.
what advice would you give to
No,
people?
I don't want to give advice.
Okay.
So I can just share my experience. I am very much thankful to my supervisors, to my professors who really helped me to get through my coursework, because I don't know if I would have passed even, because I was so much invested in doing the project stuffs and running for presentations and looking for deliverables. I really didn't had much time to do the coursework, but they were very kind. They were very kind enough to like promote me and with quote unquote high grades. So I'm really thankful to them. But yeah, so coming to the problem is just divide. Maybe we can divide our time. So if we want to invest 6 hours or maybe 7 hours, So in the morning, let's do whatever literature you want to do. In the evening, you just focus on your coursework. So um, it may sound cliche, but it's just the time management. So I think one half, like during the coursework usually lasts for 1 or 1.5 years. So first up, you can, if you are early riser, maybe do your literature, and maybe at night you focus on your coursework. So, because you have to pass. That's important. Not everyone is fortunate as me. So yeah.
I wasn't fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would end this session with this one last comment about coursework is that, first of all, don't bother too much about the grades. Don't, forget about what you did in your undergrad and masters where you were so bothered about the grades. Don't bother too much about the grades. Nobody's going to judge you on the grades once you are done with your PhD. That's number one. Number two is every coursework is also a very good opportunity to know a lot of interesting concepts which can be useful for the research that you're doing. And I initially never thought that would happen, but the more I am doing, research, the more I get to understand that part. And then the more I feel like, hey, I should have paid more attention in that particular course. You never know how concepts can just, and these days things are getting very, very interdisciplinary. So you never know how ideas which are there in one particular course can be taken or twisted, or you can get inspiration from that idea and apply that in the kind of research approach that you are taking. So pay attention to the coursework and uh, try to understand how that particular field which that course is about has developed, and how the advanced topics have developed, and how people have gone through those advanced topics, which means the research methodology again. So if you get nothing out of a particular course, what you can really get is the research methods of how things were in 1960 versus 1970 versus 1980, how people built upon each other's work to come up with something really amazing in, let's say, in 2020. So if you are doing a particular course on a particular topic, which may seemingly maybe not related with your research topic. Okay. All right. So that would be it. And what we are going to do is next week, we are going to have next Saturday, we are going to talk about, again, getting new ideas, but this time we are going to delve into how you can critically examine the approaches while you do a literature survey, and how you can get a lot of new ideas while you are critically examining approaches or techniques or algorithms or protocols and so on while you're reading papers, right? Uh, Thanks a lot for coming together, and if you have any comments or if you have any more questions, you can feel free to email me, and just watch all the other videos. There are a lot of other videos which might answer a lot of your questions that are still there. And stay tuned for next Saturday. And thank you, Tirathankar, for joining us. It was lovely having you, and I know it's 10 p.m. right now, and we are all very hungry. So, so essentially, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.